Hey everybody, it's Party Elite with a beginner's guide to Total War Warhammer. Slayers are perhaps one of the more interesting dwarven units. Not in the sense that they carry flamethrowers or rocket launchers, but more in how undervalued they seem to be. They're expensive at 1100 points per unit, but in my opinion, they make up for that cost if used correctly. These specialized, stubborn support units would be the types to return with their shields or on them, if they had shields. Slayers are one of the 4 anti-large units that the dwarves have, and the only melee one available to them. They also fight to the death, thanks to their death blow trait, which makes them fight even harder when below 20% of HP, and their unbreakable attribute, which means they never lose leadership and never rout. As their traits say, they're faster than the average dwarf, which is probably the result of having no armor, and they dual-wield axes and are able to, not so effectively, deflect some missile fire. Their leadership is excellent, their charge bonus is great for a dwarf, and their weapon damage is solid, especially when you consider the bonus 24 against large. With all that said, they have low melee defense, and their most standout stat is their armor. Like I said, there is none. Everything else is pretty average. They seem very pricey for what they are, but using them correctly can turn the odds in your favor very quickly. So, how does one go about using them? Well, as I said earlier, Slayers are specialized support units. They're not your front line, and they should never be the meat of your army. They don't protect your flanks, and they don't do well alone either. The strength of the Slayer lies in the staying power with regards to leadership, and the ability to hide, charge, and quickly surround and cut down enemy cavalry, monsters, and beasts. But to do any of that, you need to use them in tandem with regular dwarven units. If you're expecting a cavalry-heavy enemy, prepare yourself with units that can take a charge and hold fast, like Longbeards. Even if they get hit from the side, they can soak up the damage in a way a Slayer never can. What you want to try and do is sandwich the enemy cavalry between this regular unit and your Slayer. Similar to a hammer and anvil, it's difficult to pull off though because fast as they may be, Slayers are still slow. The idea here is simple. Your hardy unit takes the brunt of the beating because it can take it. Meanwhile, your Slayers run in from behind to kill and quickly reduce the enemy leadership. Will you suffer losses? Of course. But when you use Slayers and a regular unit to achieve this, you're removing the enemy unit from the equation very quickly compared to an army without Slayers. Also, consider hiding your Slayers in forests. Their hide attribute makes them very hard to spot in tree cover until the enemy is very close, so you can use this to get a flanking maneuver in on open field. Or, if you can force enemy cavalry to go through a forest to engage your troops, you'll slow them down and reduce the benefit they get from charging, giving you extra time to surround them. Against monsters and beasts, the inability to break and rout makes Slayers all the better. Most units break before they die against such enemies. While a single unit of Slayers is able to take out a greenskin giant on its own, they'll suffer heavy losses. So, yet again, you want to pair them up with a hardier troop that can take the beating. Longbeards are a great dwarven unit, so they work great in this situation as well. For extra oomph, add gyrocopters with brimstone guns, especially if there are no range units around to take them down. Gyrocopters with brimstone guns are also anti-large, so they're great help. There's no two ways about it. Slayers are not the most amazing dwarven unit. In fact, they're pretty bad in most scenarios, and even when they're being used right, they'll die in great numbers. Despite this, their traits mean they will jump from one enemy unit to another, stopping only in death or victory. This helps greatly if you want to stand a decent chance against cavalry, monsters, and beasts. Some units excel when used in specific ways. You need to learn these ways, using them to your advantage and forcing your opponent onto the back foot. And that's what being a great general is about. For more tips and tricks, subscribe to this channel, and if there's something you'd like to see covered, let me know in the comments below.